Calling all warriors! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are continuing on your purpose. Great to be able to talk to you guys again. Continue to conquest things around you and conquesting yourself as well under God's purpose. We hope you're giving a good night. And we'll do another one in a second. Here, let me do some shout outs. Tomorrow I'm going to try to do one on the actual exercises. So I'll try to be in a place where I can actually do some of the exercises back to Kelder's Fountain of Youth stuff, which I think is fascinating, and I always have. And I love the idea of longevity. And as I said, I feel great. I'm almost going to be 62 in this month, and I feel tremendous. So hopefully you guys can kind of take something from that as we go through. All right, some shout outs are real fast. Dirtymint, thank you, my friend. Midgard Viking month, thank you as well. From Switzerland, welcome, my friend. It's always nice to kind of hear from people from Switzerland. I love Switzerland. Villem, thank you. John Jennings, Vaibhov, thank you. Even Torture Dummies, wonderful. Rob, thank you again. Brahminyogi, thank you. Yogai. Miami Hoopz, thank you twice. Jimy Great, thank you. Christopher Bowden, 2.5 years in monk mode, thank you. Great job, continued success. Guido Perez again. Level Earth Hanifa, 6+ years. Congratulations. Keep going, my friend. Keep going, warrior. And Brother Boldly, thank you very much as well. And keep going, my friends. Keep doing what you're doing. All right, at about 1 minute and 45 seconds, let's talk about a topic here. This is from Peaceful Being. And we're talking about the idea of fasting. Now, why is fasting hard? Well, let's go back over some of the comments that we're talking about. And let's just even talk about fasting first. Now, the premise, my friends, as we do this, and this is not only you're trying to be the best person you can become. Once you have a relationship with God, now you're trying to fulfill His purpose, and He has given you and blessed you with so many gifts that really, when you're talking about being the best you can become, that means you have to kind of be ready to serve God's purposes. And that means you need to be physically, mentally, spiritually strong enough to be able to do that. And so as you look at this temple of God you have as a body, you're not going to just throw away a lot of your nutrients and your vitamins and things like that for no reason at all. And this is why it's important to focus on being the best person you can become. And that means being able to kind of look at everything you do and say, how can I get some control over myself? With God's, obviously, help and encouragement and praying and all those type of things you're doing with your Creator. So when we talk about the overall picture, we're talking about retention as being a #1 type of thing, because that's the hardest thing to control. Yes, you can probably equate it with drugs and alcohol and gambling, all these addictions people have. But as a few people mentioned today, even in their comments, and I haven't gotten to the new comments yet over the last week or so, but they mentioned the fact that this is the hardest battle you're going to have. And this is why I make the clarion call. This is why we talk about this as a battle. This is the hardest battle, because you're fighting against something that basically is your nature. Your nature is to be that beast that's going to go around and looking for mates, looking for women. That's your basic nature. So to have this balance in between, where you're basically saying, okay, I will do it when I procreate, but I'm not going to just do it all the time, right? I'm not going to try to procreate every woman I meet. That type of control is very, very difficult, because it goes against basic nature type of instincts. Now, we're not talking about God's purpose here. We're not talking about what God's intending you to do as a human being, as a man, but we're talking about basic nature instincts. And this is why we become attracted to women who have a certain level of look, and women become attracted to us because of an energy. We become attracted to them because of an energy. All those things play into our biological conscious, because the Lord knows at some point we're going to go ahead and procreate. So we need to have that and be ready for that. So self-control is really the essence of what we're talking about here. Within God's rules and your whole purpose, everything you do is disciplined. Discipline is the key, in my mind, to all success that I've learned about. I don't care if you're talking about the discipline to pray all the time, as I do, go into the Bible every morning. The discipline to do that for 20 years, 30 years that I've been doing it. The discipline to be able to take a cold shower every morning and just jump right in there, even though you know it's going to be cold. The discipline not to do drugs, not to drink alcohol while all your other family members, everybody else is doing it. Not to gamble and try to get involved in fantasy leagues and all these other things that you know, for you at least, may not be a good thing. And certainly to eat the right foods and to exercise and to do something that is difficult. And so we talk about this whole idea of taking care of yourself. We're talking about raising your level of self-control to the point where people admire you, they follow you, they look at you as an influence, and they certainly want to be around you. Hence, this is one of the reasons why women are so attracted to men who have self-control. Because it's really hard for them to understand that, because 99% of the males they run into have little self-control. They can't control themselves, so they're not going to be able to control anybody else or anything around them. So they can't even control their own lust and their thirst and that sort of thing. And so this is why it's important to be able to learn how to retain. Once you're able to do that, now you feel so confident, and I know I did, that now you're looking for other avenues to do that. And as I said, I then looked at things like a cold shower. I then looked at eating the right foods, then also trying to exercise, and all those things I do as kind of a regimented program day by day. But one of the things, as Peaceful Beings talked about, is also trying to, once you learn how to do that, you also learn how to make your body kind of take away something for a while. They make your body shock your system a little bit. And this is why fasting is also important. Now, I do intermittent fasting between 8 at night, which is about a little bit past now, and 12 in the afternoon the next day. I try to do that every day. It doesn't always work every day, but I try to do it every day I can. And that allows me a number of things. First of all, it allows you to be able to cut back on the dangerous foods you have that make it difficult for you to lose weight or to stay in shape or to be the type of person you want to be. In my case, the two areas that I have to avoid are the carbohydrates and the sugars. Too much of the processed sugars, too much of the carbohydrates, and that's a problem for Vigor Warrior too. So therefore, what I try to do is I try to cut back on those things, and I go to things like water and things like that. Those other, and it's what, a 6-12 hour, let's see, from 8 to 12, 4, and then another 8, 12 hours, okay? And I'm sorry, 16 hours. So 16 hours then, and then the other 8 hours I try to eat at that point. But the thing is that it also becomes another one of these self-control things. You're testing yourself to see, can I do this? Can I make the self-control? Can I control myself enough to be able to say, okay, I'm in charge of my body. I'm going to decide not to eat between this period of time and that period of time. I don't care if it's a 5-hour fast, start slowly. I would say start a little bit, maybe every day, take a couple hours and then maybe move it up a little bit. You're going to see a big difference in your body because your body's not used to this. The other thing is that you're able then to get a chance for your body to cleanse itself through. Especially if you're drinking water during the fast, which is fine. I think in my book I do that. Or something like a tea, green tea or something like that. Now you're getting things through your system, which gets rid from all those bad things you've got in your system. And that will clear your system better. And that's one of the things that allow you to have more energy and do things in that manner as well. So there's a lot of positive benefits. It is difficult because, again, what the issue really is, just like gambling, sex, all these things, is being able to control when you do it. Very few of us are at that point, warriors, that we can do that. The warrior that's able to control themselves is going to be a successful leader and a leader of warriors throughout their lives. Because you're able to control things around you. People around you will see that as opportunities. They will want to be with that kind of person because they want those things to rub off on them. And the idea is that person is a person who they have control of their selves, whether it's their emotions, their body, their spirit, whatever it might be. Now, it's not easy. The same temptation that you have with women who are coming after you, who try to seduce you, the same thing you're going to have with food trying to seduce you. With the marketing, with all the stuff that's out there right now, you see it. And even at the grocery stores, they package the food. It's a seducing type of thing. But again, recognize that you're in control. You have that choice to be able to say, I'm going to eat this, I'm not going to eat this. And I always recommend doing a fast every so often. Just the same thing as I recommend getting away from the internet, taking a few days away from the television, your phones, and just kind of focusing on something other, doing projects. Like tomorrow, I'm going to do a bunch of projects in the yard, and I'm not going to focus on my phone or computer at all. And when you get back to it, all of a sudden you feel re-energized, the same thing you feel with everything else. But when it comes to food, you're now able to break down those things within yourself, and now your body's working on whatever the body's left. And if you go back and then eat a lot, maybe the next couple days, I wouldn't recommend it right after you fast, but the next couple days, then your body is again shocked, and it will work on not losing it. The body, from what I have read and understand, a lot of times the body will be shocked because it doesn't know when it's going to eat again. Therefore, it may use the stuff that they have within it, or it may reserve it. And if you get food coming in fast, that reserve may also be knocked out. And this is where I think people lose weight. They continually shock their bodies back and forth with exercise, with fasting, a combination of these things as you do this. It's not easy, as people being is saying. It's not an easy process. Fasting is not easy, just like temptation and releasing is not easy. But, again, you're learning, warriors, how to control yourselves. Self-discipline. This is what you're really learning. We can talk about retention all we want. We can talk about women all we want. But the idea in your mind is you're trying to control yourself. The more you control yourself, but the harder it's going to be. Because there's people who don't want you to control yourself. And the devil works in many ways. It could work with food. It could work with gambling. It could work with drugs. It could work with women. All these things are going to come at you because you're trying to do something that most men cannot do. And that's to control their being. They cannot control their being from one moment to the next, and they fall into all kind of patterns, and they just can't control it, and they're being molded by anything that comes their way. And this is why it's very difficult for people to do retention or to do fasting or to do anything with self-control, because it becomes a habit in a negative way, and it can kind of bring you down and do that. So it's not easy, but it's something I highly recommend you doing. Even if you have to start off small, I recommend you got to start with an hour a day, fine. As long as you continue building up. The next day, maybe an hour and a half, hour 20 minutes. See if you can go longer, and you'll find yourself not needing food. Now, you don't want to get dehydrated, of course, and those type of things. You want to have some liquids. I always go on a liquid fast, at least some of those hours, just to have some liquids within me. But the key is also, don't be doing things like diet pops and those things that take take out energy from you. What I mean by that, take out water from you. Have regular water. Have something that has something to it, because you'll feel even more dehydrated. This is one of the things that happens with diet pop with me, is if you have too much diet pop, all of a sudden you get more thirsty. And that's one of the things that continue happening, and I think it's also one of those things that you've got to avoid when it comes to drinking those type of pops and things like that. So the key is trying to make sure you put in your body things that are good. And we can't be perfect, but we're going to continue striving as we go along. All right, my friends, enough for this evening. Once again, peaceful being, thank you for a great topic tonight, and I thank all the people who had a shout out today. And it's always important to kind of remember, we're always in this battle to self-discipline. A warrior is a self-disciplined, self-controlled animal and beast. You can turn it on when you have to, when you're defending or providing or trying to protect people, but you're not going to be sitting there and just kind of being a simp and someone who just gives in to everybody because they're afraid. You're a person who has courage, you're a person who has self-control, and you know where you're going. All right, enough for this evening, my friends. Remember, 2 things I always leave with you. First of all, every day, like tomorrow, is going to be a new day to a great warrior. And guys, always remember, as I'm talking about this all the time, we need to continue to battle!